Today we're discussing Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. And stay tuned until the end when the author will join me to answer some of your most pressing questions, like, does Thrawn wear socks to bed? Star Wars Show Book Club is a series where we gather friends and fans to read Star Wars books, examining how they relate to all of the Star Wars films, live-action shows, animated series, comics, and games. Through these stories, we enrich our understanding of the galaxy far, far away. Hello, Kristin Baver here, ready to explore some tactical brilliance with a few new friends. Our story begins after the rise of the Empire in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. The Death Star is still a super secret superweapon under construction, and there is a spark of rebellion in the galaxy, but truly just the first hint of rebel cells beginning to rise up and work together. That means that the book leads up to Thrawn's appearance on Star Wars Rebels, where he went toe-to-toe with the Ghost Crew. This story gives us a clearer sense of the character's meteoric rise in the ranks of the Empire and the way his cunning mind studies individuals, cultures, and artifacts as the means to understand and eliminate his opponents along the way. The book also features a young Arinda Pryce as she navigates political corruption on Coruscant to eventually gain a prestigious position as the governor of Lothal, Ezra Bridger's home planet. And we get a glimpse of Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, and some other familiar faces. If you love the Chiss tactician and unraveling a mystery of political intrigue, this one's for you. Now, let's meet our book club crew. First up, we've got the Star Wars Show's editor, Frank, a man who has yet to legally change his last name to Star Wars, even though his birthday cakes have been saying it for years.
Hey, it's on the to-do list. As soon as I get married, that's what we're gonna do.
We also have Gabby, a huge Star Wars Rebels fan and a fan artist whose spy droid creation QT5 was a runner-up in the Build My Droid contest last year. Hey Gabby.
Happy to be here.
And last but not least, we have Nick, the longtime bassist for the rock band Bayside and a Star Wars fan podcaster. Nick, as I understand it, you also have a very cute dog at home who you named after my favorite stormtrooper.
I did. You want to see him? Here he is. He might be barking eventually, but this is Finn. Finn, say hi.
To start us off, I know you're all pretty big Thrawn fans, so maybe an easy question, maybe the hardest question I'll ask you this entire time. Why does this character resonate so much with you, and what sets him apart from other Star Wars villains or other Star Wars characters for you in particular?
Something that for sure resonates with me with Thrawn is his calmness. I think I was born the most calm person on Earth, and the fact that it works, most of the time, I think it says a lot.
I love that he is a threat that isn't force-based in the Star Wars universe. Like, he is a real threat. He's a powerful villain that can actually fight and struggle with our force-sensitive Jedi and fallen Jedi characters. But he doesn't have to be like a Sith Lord or Dark Force user or anything. It's just his cunning and his strategy that makes him so threatening, not only to like the Jedi, but also to just the galaxy as a whole.
Okay, I like Thrawn because he cares about his own people. He's not like the other Imperials that they don't care about anyone who's working under them. Thrawn likes to avoid bloodshed wherever it's possible to protect his own people and also like to do the less amount of damage for everyone involved.
As opposed to some other Imperials, it seems like he goes in there and he's like, okay, here's actually how we can save this many people if we do it this way, and this is a best case scenario, and everyone wins, but it's the least amount of lives lost, which is kind of admirable, even though he's technically a bad guy. Although for me, I think it's his antiquing. I love how much he seems to appreciate what you can learn from other societies through their culture and through their art and through their inventions. Do you think Thrawn actually respects other cultures, or is he just eager to know more to better destroy anyone who stands in his way?
I would say yes, he has respect for culture. I don't think he really wants to do harm for the sake of harm. I think that he likes to learn, like you said, from art and culture. I think that him learning about people just helps him be a master tactician. But I do think he's ready kind of for collateral damage in a sense. If it's part of the plan, some people have to be sacrificed.
That was cold, Nick. I feel like it's just how it is sometimes.
It's not me.
I think he also respects the culture of people. That doesn't stop him from wanting to learn if you can be an ally or an enemy. He always is like trying to plan ahead in case that you are not his friend.
I always want to know, like, if the appreciation for art and using that to analyze other cultures and their decisions is something that like just Thrawn does, or is it something that like the Chiss Ascendancy used to like conquer chunks of like wild space.
There is a part in where Thrawn says that the other chiefs don't understand him also, like they don't know how he uses art for that. And for me, that made him like something also an outsider for his own people. Because Eli also like questions about that. Like he tries to think like maybe all the chiefs are like him, or is he just unique?
Eli and Thrawn do seem to really form a great bond together. I think they've really become friends. There's a point where they're really working in tandem, where it seems like they're fighting or calculating or doing whatever, scheming, whatever they're doing. It really seems like they have this unspoken connection with each other.
They both want to do their jobs well. They want to make a difference. So I think that's one of the reasons why they work so well. And he sees that Thrawn can make a difference.
I think Thrawn gets the sense that Eli's kind of pure of heart and wants to learn. And I think that he also senses that Eli brings things to the table that Thrawn needs help with. And I think that it just helps them kind of have a good relationship and a trusting relationship. And
it seems like Thrawn sees something in Eli that Eli doesn't even see in himself. He goes into this being like, I'm from like a poor backwater place, and the best that I can do is kind of what my family's always done, but just a little bit better. And it's really cool to see Thrawn like try and help Eli, but also like not understand the political ramifications of that. So like Eli spends all this time as an ensign through this book and not getting promotion. Thrawn's like, I don't understand why that's happening. I guess the military just doesn't want to promote you.
Yeah. Although that's a great segue to another character I definitely want to make sure we talk about, who is Arinda Pryce. This story gave me such a great sense for that character before we see her in Star Wars Rebels. She really understands politics in a way that is also really helpful for Thrawn, because it's one of his big blind spots. Do you think that is accurate, I guess, that she understands politics far better than he does, or does he have enough of an understanding he just doesn't care about some of these aspects, like getting Eli promoted?
I think Thrawn comes from a very different background. He has a lot of trouble with that. He really needed Eli's help for that. So Pryce certainly would help him once Eli's gone. And but I don't think she's as good as she thinks she is.
I think there's a little bit of kind of going back at each other. I think it's fair to say that she kind of has learned over time, because I think she was a little clunky with it at first. I think she learned over time how to thrive in politics and become this like kind of natural internal have a natural internal competition with Thrawn.
It seems like at parts that Thrawn thinks that everybody's working towards the greater good of the success of the Empire, but the politics in the Empire is about personal advancement. He's like, but what I'm doing is the right thing and it's going to be better for everybody. Why do people disagree? A really good example is when he gets the people that try and like mug him sent to Sky Strike Academy, because he's like, they're going to be great pilots. And then like we see one of them later, and he's just like talking to Eli. He's like, man, we got out of it. I'm sure you tried to like get us thrown out, but like we pulled strings and we're just gonna make your life miserable.
And that was a fascinating punishment that doesn't really seem like a punishment, but is more of a head game.
I gotta say, TIEs don't have shields, so I feel like it's a real good punishment.
All right, that's fair. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been awesome. Yay! Thank you for joining us today, Tim. It's so nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
This question comes from Tristan Peterson. You brought back Star Wars in a major way in 1991 with Heir to the Empire, and it was partially because of Thrawn. What was it like returning more than 20 years later to write him again? Was your approach to writing him any different?
Not really. I mean, I had spent a lot of time with Thrawn in the earlier era, the Legends era. So I knew the character pretty well. By the time I was asked to do the new series, Thrawn Alliances, Thrawn Treason, I knew the character well enough that all I had to do was drop him into whatever situation, and I knew how he would react, what he would do. So it's more like catching up with an old friend than doing anything new or trying to, okay, what was he like again? It was very easy transition to make.
This one's from Star Wars Book Club superfan Kanja Chris. How did you go about adapting Thrawn from Legends to canon? What aspect of his story or character was most difficult to adapt?
There really hasn't been any problems with that. We've got more history now. I've got all of the Clone Wars. I've got the Star Wars Rebels, all of that to fit into. But Dave Filoni and his team did such a good job of capturing the essence of Thrawn in that show. There was no real adaptation to be done. They got my character, which means when I'm putting him back into canon, jumping off of what they had done, it's again pretty seamless.
I think for a lot of people, that was also the entry point for recognizing Thrawn as a character, because either they had missed the books or maybe they were part of that younger audience that was growing up with Rebels. So they're being introduced to Thrawn through Star Wars Rebels, and then hopefully coming back and reading Thrawn and some of your other books to learn a bit more about him.
That's been one of the great things about Star Wars. There are entry points all the way along, from the original trilogy through some of the books, through the Clone Wars, the prequel trilogy, Rebels, sequels. Everywhere along, there's been you can jump in at any point in here, pick up Star Wars, and then go back and fill in the backstory if you started in late. It works very well for everybody.
Oh no, Mahoobs wants to know, who would you say your favorite Chiss character is other than Thrawn?
At the moment, probably Admiral Aralani. I've spent a lot of time with her. I brought her in first in Outbound Flight and brought her in at the very end of Thrawn and have been developing her further ever since. But at the moment, I think she is the one that is my favorite. She's certainly got the most screen time of anybody else.
At Jedi Court wants to know, is Thrawn unique amongst the Chiss with his art analysis habits?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the Chiss are smart in general. There's some very good military minds in there. But as far as I know, as far as I've been revealing, the art connection is pretty much unique with Thrawn.
Of course, we haven't seen the last of Thrawn. What can you tell us about Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising?
We are going to go back a little more in time. Great, this will set the background and some new characters and just the situation that I would be using later on. If I don't get to do that, these books will be, hopefully a satisfying view into the Chiss culture and Thrawn's earlier life by themselves.
And now we have the lightning round. Here's a bunch of really fun questions we have. Okay. Between Thrawn and Vanto, who has better roommate etiquette?
Probably Thrawn.
Why?
No idea.
Is Thrawn more prone to stress baking, stress cleaning, or stress crafting?
I would probably go with crafting, because I have no idea how well he cooks.
Ray, CEO of Teenage Thrawn, writes, is Thrawn himself a good pilot?
Yes, he is a good pilot.
The most important question I'm going to ask today, does Thrawn wear socks to bed?
Probably not.
Very important question I will ask every time. Do you think Thrawn is aware of how attractive he is?
Do any of us think of ourselves as attractive?
That's all the time we have today, but thank you so much for joining us, Tim.
I hope it continues. This is fun.
And thanks to all of you who joined us from home, sent in your questions, and watched along today. Come back next time when the Star Wars Show Book Club explores Leia, Princess of Alderaan by Claudia Gray. And don't forget to tweet your questions using hashtag SWSBCLeia, and we'll ask some on the show. Until then, may the Force be with you.